In this video, we're going to talk about how you can end your suffering and struggle by experiencing your life the same way that you now experience the story in a movie. So stick with me and stay tuned. Hi, Robert Scheinfeld here, New York Times best-selling author and creator of the Ultimate Freedom Experience, and we're here today talking about how you can end all of your suffering and your struggles by experiencing your life, your story, like you now experience a story in a movie. So what do I mean by that? Well, people all over the world, and there are some exceptions, but people all over the world love movies. As humans, we just love stories. And what I'm going to say to you here is true about all stories, but I'm just going to use the example of movies. So hopefully you can identify with that because you love movies yourself. So when we go to a movie, something interesting happens that's very different than what normally happens in our lives. See, in our lives, there are things that we want, and we work hard and we try to get these things, and we don't a lot of the time. And we suffer and we struggle and we're frustrated, and surprising things happen that we don't like, and then things happen that we do like. And there's all these struggles and there's all this suffering and we don't like it, and there's all this stuff that goes on in our minds and in our feelings about all of this. But when you go to a movie, something different happens. And it isn't a technique, it's not a choice, it isn't something that we actively do, it's something that just happens naturally and automatically. And when you go to movies, there are some exceptions, but in almost all movies, just to use some very simple language, you'll know what I mean. Bad things are always happening to good people in movies. That's what happens in stories, There's alien invasions, and there's tornadoes, and there's tidal waves, and there's robberies, and there's bad guys, and there's murder and rape, and all these kinds of bad things that happen. But we can be in a movie, and we can sit through all this. We can watch all these bad things happening to good people. And we have lots of feelings, and we have lots of thoughts, and we have lots of experiences. And it all just blends together, And then at the end of the movie, if we like the movie, we just say, wow, that was a great movie. I loved that. We go tell our friends, oh my God, this is a great movie. You got to go see this. Great novel. You got to read this book, whatever it is. When we say, oh, that was a fantastic movie, and we tell all our friends, what we're really saying is, I had all these experiences of thoughts and emotions, and all these things happened during those 2 hours, and the combination of all those experiences, the same things that happen in our lives that we judge and we dislike and we fight against, those same things we enjoy when it's in a movie. Why? Why does that happen? Why can you experience in a story, in a movie, bad things happening to good people, and you can enjoy the story, and you can enjoy all the emotions, you can enjoy all the thoughts, you can enjoy seeing all this happen, but you can't in your life? What's the difference? Well, I'll tell you what the difference is. In your day-to-day life, there's a part of you. Most people call it the mind. There are different names for it. I call it the mind machine. In your life, when bad things happen, when you're struggling with things, when things don't go the way that you want to, when there's problems, your mind engages, and it runs this automated lightning-fast process that makes up a story about that. I like this, I don't like this, this is good, that's always happening to me. All these kinds of things, all these mind stories that flood into us, and with lots of negative judgments, because the mind makes up these stories, and then there's always a positive or a negative with it. And when there's a negative, the mind tells us this is bad, I hate this, this is terrible, and then we suffer because of the story that the mind makes up, the mind machine makes up. When we're in a movie, guess what? The mind doesn't engage. The mind machine doesn't tell us these stories. And we just experience what I call the pure, raw experience of what's happening, and we can enjoy it. And when you're in a movie, the mind machine stays quiet for the most part. There are some exceptions, and that's the big difference. The mind does not intrude and tell us its stories about what's happening, including the positive and negative judgments. And that's the big difference, and it just doesn't happen. And what I discovered is, because people can say, well, the movie's not real and this and that, and yeah, I can see this stuff in a movie, but not in my life. My life's different. But what I discovered is, no, it's not. You can experience your life in exactly the same way that you now experience a story in a movie, no matter what's happening. And it's not a technique, it's not a method, it's not a practice, it's not some sort of game that you play with yourself or try to talk yourself into something. There is a very real, tangible shift that can take place inside of you. So that just like your mind machine does not engage and tell you stories and give you negative judgments of everything when you're in a movie, the same thing can happen in your life, and it radically changes absolutely everything that's happening to you in your life when this shift takes place. And you can, again, experience everything in your life, no matter what it is, exactly the same way that you experience a story in a movie. And in order for that to happen, you have to take a journey. You have to take a journey in which this shift takes place inside of you. And it leads to you being able to experience everything that happens in your life, just like what happens in a movie. And if you'd like to know more about what's involved with that journey, how you can start it, how you can have this experience, and how suffering and struggle and pain can permanently disappear from your life by you experiencing your life the same way you experience stories and movies, click the link around this video and get the guide that I created for you, that I created especially to show you how you can begin that journey yourself now.